All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Chairman Darren Hamilton of the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, and I'm going to call this meeting to order at 9:04 a.m. Or excuse me, 10:04 a.m. I'll make a correction on that. We had a meeting earlier, and that's why we are late. I apologize for that. So first item on agenda is acknowledge the minutes from the previous meeting.
Okay. Can I amend that? To acknowledge
Yes.
the January 10th and 11th, because all three of us were there and separately.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 10th, January 11th, and January 14th meetings of the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a second on that?
No, because I want to amend it to be let's approve it.
We have to first get a motion and a second on Susie's approval of the minutes as written. Then we have to get a motion from you as a friendly amendment to Susie's amendment.
That's what I mean.
During the discussion period. Then we would vote on that motion with a motion and a second to amend that. And then we would go back and vote on the original motion that was made by Susie with the amendment included.
Or if there's no second, her motion dies for lack of a second.
Correct. And then we have to move again to amend, but we can't amend because you asked to amend that motion to this include the other.
No, you just told me I couldn't because it wasn't seconded yet.
No, her motion to approve wasn't seconded, but you interjected before a second could be made with an amendment, which would have fallen in the discussion period after the second.
Okay.
As long as we're following Robert's Rules of Orders in the procedures for meetings, we will do that with all meetings that we are part of. Okay?
Okay, I'll second it. Can I give a friendly amendment? Would that be okay with you?
You can do whatever you want to do.
Well, just looking at these, we have three sets of minutes, and two of the minutes on the 10th and 11th, all three of us were there. And on the 14th,
I was
two of us were there, so I thought it might be easier if we could amend your motion to approve January 10th and 11th.
I will do that, and I would say that we could change the 11th because that was the meeting I was at.
Okay,
Okay, so we will have a motion of amendment of the proposal given by Drish to approve the minutes to change the amendment to what Sandquist has proposed for the motion. So can I have a vote? We have a motion and a second to amend the original motion. Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. Drish?
Yes.
Sandquist?
yes,
Hamilton, yes. Okay, now we have the motion on the table to approve the minutes as amended from Sandquist to Drish. We have the motion in a second from Drish and seconded by Sandquist. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, now we can have that approved and we can move forward.
and I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the 14th.
I thought that was included in your change. I thought that your change.
Because if it was, I cannot vote on it. I wasn't there.
Well, you can
because you weren't
abstain
there,
from the ones on the 14th.
which is why I thought it'd be easier to do them separately.
So we have to amend our vote to show that we have approval from Sandquist, Drish, and Hamilton for the minutes of January 10th and January 11th.
What I have.
And we have, that was not included, even though I had read that off with the earlier.
She said to approve the 10th and 11th,
Okay,
not the 14th.
okay, so I need a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting from January 14th. I would make a motion that we approve those minutes.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Second was from Sandquist. I will call for an individual vote on this. Hamilton, or excuse me, Sandquist,
Yes.
Hamilton, yes. Drish,
Abstain,
or,
because I wasn't there.
okay, but you have to state the reason you're abstaining. You abstained.
Because I wasn't there.
Okay, thank you. Did you get that? All right. Fun day.
Morning, Dwayne.
I hate starting off a day like this. Let's move to the next item on our agenda, which is meet with the county engineer. Dwayne, good morning.
Well, howdy, folks.
By the way, before he starts, I want to say a big thank you. A couple of weeks ago, he was able to, with the help of his team, get some revenue that is what, 3 or 4 years past due, 500,000. And so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
On a past project.
A lot of the credit for that goes to Thomas Ainsminger and Alan Forsythe in our office, as well as Jeff Fadden and the crew at Calhoun Burns. They did a lot of bird dogging, chasing down the paper trail, and certifications that had been lost, misfiled, and not recorded correctly. Alan Forsythe was one of the field inspectors, and we called him into the office to kind of quiz him and go back over his memory to try and find paperwork. And he had recorded it on the back of the material tickets, and then it had never gotten transferred to the official record in-house, but we got that stuff.
Well done.
Yeah, we owe you a big thing.
It was
Yes,
a
thank you.
good team effort.
Thank you so much for your hard work. And it proves that it was a very good hire on the part of the county to
Thank you.
bring you on board as our new county engineer.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I've enjoyed everything so far.
Good.
Yeah,
Even your
you know
first
what?
day?
Yeah, you know, that was,
You know when I call?
you'll. Nothing simple.
So,
All right, so this last week we had another snow event. We've had a few calls for drifting and stuff, but the folks have been out keeping things clean. I came down Sunday and drove some of the roads, not on purpose, but I was down here, so I figured I might as well see how we were doing. And let's see, we've had a few equipment issues, as you'll have during snow events, but our new mechanic's doing a great job. The guys on the road crews are just tickled pink with Brian, our new mechanic. His capabilities and his attitude are phenomenal. He's a great young man. See, something that our sign crew has brought to my attention is we have a number of unregulated intersections out in the county on the gravel roads, and which is, thank you, sir, which is common for county, but some of them are somewhat problematic as far as where the through traffic goes and how the approaching traffic may or may not pay attention. So we are going through and evaluating whether we need yield signs or additional stop signs and advance warning. So if the public does notice that there are new signs where they didn't expect them, that is why. And I've we won't do anything until the weather's fit for plants. and-
Does that include, and I've had this question asked of me, when you turn off of Pleasant Plain Road and you travel to the west on 185th, I believe it is, that's the road that's paved that goes from Pleasant Plain Road over to Highway 1.
Mhm.
The first portion, the east portion before you get to B Street, I don't believe is signed for 45 mile an hour. Once you get to the corner of B Street and turn and go west, there is a 45 mile an hour speed zone sign posted there. But I'm not sure if coming back from the west going to the east, it is shown as 45 mile an hour there to go continually all the way over to the Pleasant Plain Road. And I've talked to the sheriff, they've run some speed checks out there before and they've ticketed quite a few people thinking that it was 55 mile an hour instead of 45 mile an hour. And the sheriff has been operating as if it is 45 mile an hour all the way across through there. So I think the signage needs to be reviewed and see if we have it adequate enough to be able to do that kind of thing.
We'll take a look.
Because I know that's kind of a freeway
Mhm.
going on through there. People just fly when they're coming to go to work
Yeah.
or they're going home after.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of traffic on that roadway and
Yes.
it seems confusing to me because I've tried to look at that and
Is there a reason it's 45 and not 50?
that is what it was when it was a gravel road all the way across through there. And we've never made a change to,
And the only
Raise
reason,
Actually, the state is going backwards on that. A lot of the rural collectors, minor collectors, the state is looking at dropping the speed limits to 45 on those from 55.
Okay.
okay,
I was going through looking at some of our design criteria. We're looking at Libertyville Road
Mhm.
for in the future. And if we just do a rehabilitation, let's see, if we do a repair or a rehabilitation, we can keep the speed limit as it is. If we do reconstruction, we have to drop it to 40 mile an hour, 45, I think.
And I think this could probably be considered a rehabilitation that was done
Yeah, well.
out there because it was upgraded
from.
from a gravel to a seal coat, then from the seal coat to an overlay, thin overlay.
Yeah,
So
if it's less than 4 inches of pavement, then it's just a.
I think it was,
Then it's a resurface.
right.
Depth reclamation.
What was that?
Remember, it was a full depth reclamation, I think, called in place,
All right,
I
so-
believe.
That would be a rehabilitation. Yeah, I'll have to. look through
Yeah.
things.
I don't know what the final thickness of it was.
Yeah, I don't know what the final thickness is either, but I do know it went from gravel to a seal coat, then from a seal coat to its current condition, which is an asphalt overlay.
I'll add that to
So
my
back
list
to
of things to look
the
at.
45 mile per hour.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Are you wanting to change it back to 45 or down to 45?
I would like it just signed appropriately for what it is currently signed at one location that I can identify that has a 45 mile an hour speed limit sign.
We'll take a look at it, and make it uniform and consistent.
Thank you, sir.
That's all we can ask for. right?
Yes, that's all we can ask for.
All right, so we covered that, covered the snow signs.
We have the copy of the weekly
We have
accomplishments
the copy of the
from
Billy
Billy.
accomplishments. And then I mentioned earlier about adding a bump to the employees' wages for attaining a Class A CDL, and then also for training certifications.
and isn't that new requirements? Didn't I read somewhere where there's some new requirements?
But not really new, but basically new interpretations.
Okay,
You cannot drive a vehicle with over a 10,000 pound weight if it's a combined vehicle, which would basically be a 3/4 or a 1 ton pickup or heavier and a trailer without a Class A CDL.
And then the Class A CDL then includes air brake.
Well, that's a different certification.
Right.
So, but basically for our guys, that's what we're looking for. It's Class A CDL with air brakes. And we've got a number of guys who have right-of-way spraying certifications, and they pay for that on themselves. They take the test themselves and keep up with their training so that they can recertify every handful of years. And we do enough right-of-way spraying that it is a benefit to us for them to have that. We've got 3 employees with that. And then we've got our employees with DOT certifications. And with that, what we're looking at with the certifications is 25 cents an hour for the first certification and a dime an hour for each certification beyond that. That doesn't apply to Thomas because that having those certifications is kind of incumbent on his position. Doesn't apply to me.
Right.
Neither does the CDL, which is fine. I have it, but I don't use it. And so that's, I put together our proposed wages for you guys to look at. I wasn't looking at doing anything at it right now. I just want you guys to look at it and give me any comments.
This would be proposed for next fiscal year's budget. Okay, okay. So it wouldn't be anything that would be coming out of this fiscal year's budget in order to bring employees to those.
No, I don't.
Increase.
So I think we'll wait until
Okay.
next year for it, but
All right.
We can look
It's
at
just
that when we do budget.
something that I thought we should have. Those guys, it helps us to have that stuff.
Sure.
All right, we got maps.
On Osage Avenue, south of New 34, there is a little oddball chunk of road that it was partially abandoned.
Mhm.
But right now, we are still responsible, the county is still responsible for that highlighted area
Mhm.
for plowing. And that area to the right, that little triangle is county property. I have approached Sean at the Conservation Board and asked him if he would be interested in turning that into a little piece of prairie. It's really
That's a good
not.
idea.
Or a retention pond.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just not, it's not a very big parcel. We really don't want to maintain somebody's driveway, which is basically what that remainder of that road is. Billy Droz has talked to the landowners, and they would be happy to have the road. So I think we're going to look into putting together a resolution to abandon that chunk of road, vacate the right of way there, and just keep our little piece of property. I think I need to do a property survey on that
Mhm.
to make that work. So we'll get the ball rolling on that. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that would be doing it. And if you guys have any reason that you think we want to keep that, let me know.
No,
Yeah.
I know that little road there's been up for discussion through the years. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, that was Billy's. So
Good. Thanks, Billy, for that idea.
let's see, I brought the final plans for 32nd Street for you guys to sign.
Which I
And
signed and
so we can get,
given to Sandquist.
and we've also got the other form that we need to have the county auditor sign here. I came down after the meeting, with those to Matt, and we can get that stuff turned into the DOT so we can get that moved towards lighting. And the other issue I have, not nearly as pleasant as everything else. I've been talking to other county engineers, and I've been told that I can't use our crews to plow county properties without reimbursing.
I've heard
I
that.
see
same
these
thing.
invoices.
So
Yes.
I made copies. Basically it's kind of a nominal amount, but it pays for the DOT's rate of a truck and our operator. It comes out to just short of $50 an hour.
Okay.
I thought before we mailed everybody invoices, I'd talk to you folks and get your input on how you want us to handle that.
Well, you might want to, we're having a department head meeting here in a couple weeks. So this would be a good thing to put on that list.
Mhm.
So I
And
didn't
just
know.
explain it's that's the way it is, and we have no control over that one.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of the engineers in other counties, they will plow the snow, but then they turn around and invoice it. And you know, it's a nominal amount, but it keeps the paper trail.
Yep.
So the state. is
Right.
happy. The last thing
I
we want,
understand that.
we don't want them to think we're doing shenanigans with the road use fund.
Yeah, that, and it keeps supervisors in check for not sending a note to the county engineer that says, go out and do this, when that's not under their purview to begin with.
Yeah.
So
And you
I can
guys-
see why it's in place.
You guys have been good that way. But this is my first time doing this, so I want to make sure we do it right.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
You know,
All right,
that's-
thanks.
yeah, if you guys want to sign. that, just have it around. It Says board of supervisors, did you get it all?
I haven't signed it yet.
No, Susie hasn't signed it yet.
Yeah, I can get one.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So, thank you for your report, Dwayne. We will bring that up, about the snow removal at our committee meetings that we're going to have coming up about budgets for this time of year anyway. So, we'll review that then. We'll move on to our next item, discuss plan for Homeland Security grant application. I think I'm gonna turn this over to Sam first.
So a few
to-
weeks ago, Brett was here and told us about this grant. And so basically, we need a plan for it. So we need to talk about what our plan is. And our plan was pretty simple, but he was asking me questions that, you know, typically,
If you don't.
like, what's our plan? Is
Thanks,
it gonna
Wayne.
be, are the locks gonna be card? Are they gonna be, you know, all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
really, it doesn't have to be complicated, but that's the information that we need.
We have to provide that information to him in order to
Yeah, he's
have him
doing this.
apply
I
for the
mean, we need to
grant.
talk about it now because this is due like, you know,
Okay, and this is for which facility?
this was when we talked about putting him on all of our facilities. So there were 3 over at the county attorneys, 2 here. How many at public health, Chris? The 1, right? So that's 3, 2, 1. Sheriff, I believe, had 2 or 3.
Gee, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. I
Well, the locks
apologize.
we talked about getting the grant. You just have the 1 door you want done, right?
We have a locking door with separate little tokens to get in.
But this is the one, like for the outside door.
Yeah, we have a locking door already with tokens to get in and out, and the tokens are assigned to each staff member.
Right, so this Homeland Security grant, you don't need that then, you're.
I don't think so. We purchased that door a couple of years ago, so we're set up, and then we can run a report and see who has logged in and who's logged out of the building.
Okay, so
I'm gonna
that would
find
be-
my list, I got it. There were 3 there, but what we need to know, Darren, more from your standpoint, is a description of like the key card thing and all of that. I mean, if we're gonna go after this grant, because it's the notice to apply is due, I want to say Thursday, but it's like this week.
It was the 21st.
Thank you. Well, there's a notice to apply or whatever that term is, and then there's the actual application. It's not complicated. We already talked about it. I just wanted to.
Right, I'm
make
just
sure I was on
wondering
the
if I
same
have
page.
time that I can sit and actually write this out, or if I could delegate it to you.
Well, that's, I'm gonna talk about it now, so we can figure it out, because I don't know.
Because if,
Bless you.
Thank you.
and going back to what I was saying, I wouldn't have time between now and Saturday, Friday, to get with Brett and go over this so that he can write the grant.
He doesn't have to write it, he just has to put a plan in his notice that says, you know, like we're gonna do key card doors. It can be it's not the whole detailed thing. How many doors?
Well, if you've done the legwork on how many doors.
But I
um,
want the detail on what it is. Is it key cards? Is it that kind of thing?
You mean, as an example, the ones on the court floor?
No, I'm talking about, remember when we talked about this Homeland Security grant?
Mm-hmm.
We could apply, it's for courthouse security, so we could apply for the outside doors, like a locking system. That
Correct.
we have talked about
For
it
key
whenever
cards,
we,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We just
do you
need,
remember when we
we
talked
just
about
need
that?
some mechanicals to go along with that. We have the basic
Right.
system in place here. We don't have the basic system in place in the county attorney's office or over at the law center in order to be able to operate that way. Here, we still have 2 available ports on the system that's on the court floor. Well, actually more than that.
so that would
On
be
the
for
court
all
floor, that
employees.
could be for all employees
Okay.
to use these 2 doors and computer controlled so that if the doors have those locks on them and an employee leaves or an elected official changes, that card is no longer valid if they don't turn it in. It's removed from the computer system. But that's already in place, that we've got enough spaces
Okay.
available to do that to this building.
So
Okay.
do
We would only need,
so really, what do we need to do?
Well, it
Just be able to
sounds like
contact Brett
if we don't
and work
need
with
that,
Brett?
yeah, but it sounds like maybe we don't need to apply it because we're talking about probably 5 or 6 doors.
Uh-huh.
Because Chauncey had 3 and
well, when
Bart
you're
had 3 or
saying,
4 when he comes back.
when you're saying 5 or 6 doors, though, the computer that controls the doors up here was over $5,000, almost $6,000 to get it to where it's at right now. Because it had went out, it didn't have enough slots. The computer design and software had changed. So we had to buy a new computer and software and then upgrade that hardware that goes along with it so that we can open those doors and use them functionally as they have been up there. So in
Yeah.
this case, we have extra slots for this building only. Now, if you were to put it into the county attorney's office, we could not use that here. We would have to get the same $5,000-6,000 computer control head and then all the hardware for the number of doors that he wants to have that in place on over there.
And how-
So at the law center, it would be the same thing, another $5,000 to $6,000 for the computer to control the system and the hardware to go along with it, which would be extra above that computer and the control system for it.
Dee, can I ask, how much are these grants available for?
It's a lot of money, so I'm wondering
So
if
we
it's
might-
even worth applying for it, if it's, we're talking 2 buildings now. Because we're really talking
Actually, yeah.
county attorney
Attorney and law
and the
center.
sheriff, I mean, they already have one. It's
Yeah, and
just
the
if we were
only-
Gonna go to a county-wide system.
Uh-huh.
it
The
makes
only
sense.
thing that we would have to pay for here would be just the hardware to run lines from where the computer system is at down to each one of the doors and the plate that goes along with it. We already have capability of doing the photo ID cards that can go along with it to unlock the doors, so we wouldn't need that part of the system either. So off the top of my head, you're talking maybe in the neighborhood of less than $25,000
For this
for
building
the
or for
county
everything?
attorney's building, the law center, and then just the mechanicals for 2 doors in this building.
You know, just looking ahead, this would solve the problems we have with the doors.
Well,
People coming and going
part of it.
and worry about that. But we've had,
Okay, so each door, make sure I understand it, contains, that needs a computer, or each building needs a computer.
Each building needs a computer to control the entire system. And each computer has to have enough capability to do the number of doors that are asked for. Along with that, you need to have the hardware to attach to the door, which is the locks, the control head, and wiring to go from there back to the computer that controls the whole system.
Question. Each employee in the courthouse will have that card, or just the heads of the departments?
No, each employee would get that card, just as each employee gets a key to the doors that are here now.
Okay, was the card being recorded so you knew which employee come through at what time or not?
Yes, but that kind of data is not capable of being used for tracking whether employees come and go late or early,
It
because you
wouldn't-
cannot control that end of it using the data that's garnered from that device. That's not legal. So all we're doing is replacing old key systems with a new key system. So that if an employee leaves with a keystroke, we can delete that access with that card key if they don't return. Now, if they don't return their key when they leave, they can come back and get into the building anytime they want.
I think it might be similar to motel. You take
Yeah.
your key,
Yeah.
and you either turn it back in, either way, they do it.
Right.
It's just as simple as that.
Is there a capability somewhere down the line that you can record which employee comes through the door at a certain time? Like, so on the weekend, an employee comes in here and does some stuff, but then something else happens over the weekend for security or something. You can go back and see which employee was here or anything?
We can review the camera system tapes
Okay,
that we have in place. We already have a security system with cameras that record various locations through the building, so we know who's actually coming and going. If something like that happens, you can refer back to the tape, but you still can't use that data garnered from those cards to be able to track movements of employees, because then you could use it to target certain people, and that's not within the law to be able to do that.
okay, thanks.
But we really don't have to do that because we've got the visual system.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I forgot about the cameras.
No, that's fine. It was a good question.
I'm just curious.
Thank you for interjecting. That's not normal procedure for us anymore, to just take questions from the audience at the
Well.
time we're discussing it. That's part of the new procedure that we're starting to work through, that was given to us by the county attorney's office on opinions on how our meetings are to be conducted. So we do have a public comment portion in this, so you can hold it to a minute. No, I know. So
Okay,
back to your
I
question.
think that answers
I
it.
think it would be worth making an application, but that's kind of how the system works in generalities.
I just needed enough description for this initial round, the actual grant applications later on.
Mhm.
So then maybe we'll need more detail by that.
Well, and if that grant application is good for any security issues, we could also look at doing the same thing with the secondary roads office out there, and also the secondary roads garage as well.
Well, let's look, we got it right here. There's other.
Because there are counties that have put that type of system into all buildings and all offices, including, say, the office door here to the supervisor's office. Having a card to unlock that door.
Yeah, we had that discussion, and I think that you made the comment, we didn't want to interfere with
The historical value of what we've
Door,
got going
yeah.
on with our doors,
I would agree with that.
there's some
Yep.
changes that
And that's
need to be
fine.
made, but the entrances to the building has always been my concern, from the fact that people leave and take keys with them and forget to turn them in. You know, so. All right, any more discussion?
No, I think we.
Okay, So we will move on to discuss and consider resolution discuss and consider resolution providing for the financial support of the regional planning affiliation Area 15. This is
All right.
something that's done by population. We've done it each year. In our case, it's not a lot of money that we're talking about, but if you have any more detail, Dee.
Yeah, that's one of my committees, and so every year they send this to us. And a lot of the federal highway transportation grants can go through there. So do you want me to read this whole resolution?
I think we're more concerned with, whereas the governing body of Jefferson County is a member of RPA 15 and whose apportioned share for fiscal year 23 local match equals $2,041.
121, yep.
So I would make a motion that we approve this resolution and pay this because the county reaps way more benefits from RPA 15 than we pay out.
Did you make a motion, Darren?
Yes, I did.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion?
Just to mention, later on in this document, it says, the governing body of Jefferson County is a member of RPA 15 and whose apportioned share of the fiscal year 23 local match is $2,041. So that's our share.
Right.
So, okay.
All right, I'll call for the vote. Hamilton, yes. Derish,
Yes.
Sandquist,
Yes.
motion to approve the resolution has passed. All right, we'll move on to discuss and consider regional. Boy, I hate meetings before meetings. Discuss and consider resolution of financial commitment to the Ahead Regional Housing Trust Fund.
Okay, that's one of my committees. I'm writing to request a supportive financial contribution of the 20 cents per capita totaling $3,130 from Jefferson County for the upcoming 2023 Ahead Regional Housing Trust Fund program. It's been in operation since 2010 with the purpose to expand affordable housing opportunities to low and moderate income households through the 6-county region, including Jefferson County. And this can be rent, utility assistance, provides up to $500 one time per year to individuals earning 30% or less of median family income to prevent homelessness. Owner occupied rehabilitation provides up to $12,000. New housing development provides low interest loans to builders that construct housing units to serve individuals earning up to 80% of the median family income, up to $6,000 per housing unit, 24,000, maximum of 24,000. Since 2010, Regional Housing Trust Fund has invested nearly $2.5 million into affordable housing activities in our region. And in September 2022, it will apply to the Iowa Finance Authority for the 2023 State Housing Trust Fund monies to continue our activities to ensure decent, safe, affordable housing for Southeast Iowans. Each dollar in these local pledge funds will leverage $4 from the State Housing Trust Fund. The Ahead Regional Housing Trust Fund works to improve the housing stock of our region, specifically for low to moderate income households. Your county contribution will help sustain and improve housing conditions and supply. It's significant because it provides direct assistance to households in your county. Without this program, many families and individuals would otherwise not have access to financing need for the essential maintenance such as roofs, furnaces, and hot water. And the pledge request of $3,133 I can tell you locally, most recently, funds from this Regional Housing Trust Fund were used on this lot restoration out on the brick building. Is it, what street is it?
Broadway
Briggs.
on.
Broadway? Yeah.
Oh,
on
yeah, the
Apple
old,
Chain
yeah,
building.
the
Yeah,
old
that one.
Loudon building.
And
Chain.
we had one of our meetings out there and got to tour it. It's turned out good.
How much was spent on that?
Oh, I knew at that time and I'd have it in minutes. I can't pull it out of here.
Okay, so they're using
It's
roughly 16,000, a little over for our, or a little under for our per capita number.
Says 20 cents per capita.
Right, so if you have 16,000 times 0.20, that's $3,200. So they're using somewhere in that neighborhood under 16,000
Yeah.
for per capita for our county. Is this new dollars that we've never been asked for?
No, we've
before?
always done this every year.
Okay, all right.
This is one of the
So
routine budget
this
items.
is-
It's just something that.
So,
comes before
Should,
us.
it should go down then if we're doing it by per capita, because our previous per capitas were in the 18,000 range or estimate.
We'd have to look up
We'd have to
specifically
look
what
up
it
what
was for
that-
last year, but
Mhm.
yeah.
So if the new figure is 15,600 for our county,
Isn't it 1560?
15,663, I believe is the number.
Just under
Yes, it is.
16,000.
Abby, thank you.
No,
Yes,
I was gonna,
Sorry.
thank
thank
you.
you, because that's what I tried to agree to.
Because that'll make a big difference when it comes to other per capita items that we've always budgeted for, based on that population number. So,
So what'd you come up with?
Almost exactly.
The same thing? They've already done it. They've
Yeah.
already used the
Yep.
2020 census.
okay,
So,
All right.
gee, humor me, let's say this young man over here needs to apply for, how's he do that?
They can either contract this. I know some of the companies that have done this go through economic development. So, yeah. And I don't know, you're on Cedar Board. I would think they would know about this.
Yes, they do.
So,
It's similar to, I just wanted the public to hear that.
yeah, no. And I agree because I think it's important for people to realize how to contact some of these resources.
Yeah, absolutely is.
mhm.
Just
Again,
appreciate
it's
it.
Because if they don't
Regional
know how
Housing
to
Trust
contact
Fund.
them, they never get used. So,
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we continue with our financial commitment to the Regional Housing Trust Fund Ahead program.
I second that.
in the amount of $3,130.
Correct.
Mhm.
Wait a
Okay.
minute. $3,133.
33, it says,
I know it does, but the resolution says 33, so we better
So
make the
why-
motion similar to the resolution. Here we are on the resolution.
Towards the bottom. It's a much request of 3,133.
right, I see that in the resolution, but in the letter from Ahead RHTF, they're
Down
only,
here.
It's at the bottom, so they had it,
so they have it wrong in one place and correct in another.
yeah. But the actual one that needs action on, which is the resolution, is $3,133. It looks like they had a typo of $3 in their
Okay,
letter from the first paragraph to the last paragraph.
so that clears up the confusion that I just had over what amount was going to be pledged. Thank you.
Yep.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve this resolution. You seconded it.
I did.
Susie Drish seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion carries, resolution is passed. All right. Let's make committee reports.
Mental health was last week. There's going to be a lot of changes with the new in the state, basically. What I've seen happen just in my short time here is a lot of the positions of the disability services coordinators have gotten more administrative. And now they're going to be responsible for performance-based contracting and some different activities. Right now, they're all divided and they have their own specialties. I know like Sandy does quality assurance and data. One of them does budgeting, one of them does some other pieces. So there's still some gray area known because Fund 10's going away. So supposedly, after the discussion last week, Tammy Gillian from SEAL is going to send, and I told Shannon this right away after the meeting, the budget to the auditor's office, so they'll know how to budget, because it's all very unclear still. Basically, what's probably going to happen is it'll be a pass-through, and this will be up to Shannon to tell us logistically how it works, but basically it'll be state funds will cover their salaries, but we may have to pay them and then get reimbursed, and it'll be that whole paper trail. So that the other thing we talked a little bit about was, and I called Ryan to clarify about space, because this also brings up space, and do we charge them for space, them meaning the SEAL region, otherwise known as the state, because now they're doing the state work. So that's going to be up to each county. And then so I asked her about where they needed to be located, and she said pretty much anywhere. So I'd like to see us get a space planning at some point. And it doesn't have to be up until next month or so. You know, I'm not talking tomorrow.
Right. We
But a
also,
work session, because I think in one county, it's either, I think it's Des Moines, but in one of the counties, they're in with DHS already, this
Okay.
position. Washington County, it's administrative building. I think Des Moines County, that's a case. In Keokuk County, they're in a ministerial owned building, ministerial society. So it's all over the board. So
we also have another request for space use that we'll need to put into that meeting as well. The public defender's
right.
office.
Yeah, we
has
need
asked
to,
for
can we
space.
go ahead and, I thought we talked about that at one of our space planning meetings. Didn't
We
Susie?
did.
But
Yeah.
we had not decided on what
Can we put
space
that
and
on the
where, so
agenda?
we need
What
to
we
put
talked
that
about
on.
downstairs.
Yeah, I guess I thought we talked about
Yeah, let's get that on the
We
agenda,
had. Okay,
because that one should be easy to solve, and I think we need to move on that, because we clearly want to see.
but we had not discussed it with the person or people that currently use that space.
I thought you talked to Kelly.
Yes, but that's for just one little room down
Mm.
there, and it's used for the passport photographs and passport equipment. There is another room beside it that's a small conference room or storage room for the auditor's office, as I stated before, that has been discussed as using it for that, but we had not discussed it completely with the auditor's office, because they do use that office for when they have recounts. And we also have the auditors come and they sit in that office and work that way. So if we were to take that away from them, then we have to know where they're going to go with their stuff. So there's a larger discussion than, oh, they just get that down here.
So
Right.
we need to make a date to.
Right, we need to set a date for that meeting, and if we can,
Any idea when you'd like to do that?
All of our voting equipment is in that.
that's the other thing, that's in that room too.
It has to be,
Yeah, you mean, we just can't, we can put it on Shannon's list.
right, you know, all of those 28 machines.
We'll discuss that at a work session, and if we're going to have a work session and we're going to set one today,
Good.
we would be looking at maybe the week of February 14th through the 18th.
Can we do that before that?
How about, yeah,
Well,
I'd kind of like.
the week prior to that, I have 8th judicial meeting and Rust Board. I also have 2 doctor's appointments that week. And we have our supervisor meeting on Monday. We could possibly do it after the supervisor's meeting on Monday, the 7th. I was just looking at a week where I knew that I had all days open
Yeah.
excluding February 14th.
Yeah, I would rather do it the 7th because I would like to go to a convention on the 17th of February.
Okay,
I'll be gone for 4 days.
that's perfectly fine. Good suggestion. We want to put that for a
Well, we did 10 a.m.
afternoon, 10 a.m. meeting till noon, afternoon.
Sure, because
Um,
unless our agenda, I mean, we have time to change it once we know the agenda that week before, if there's a long agenda, but most days we're done by 10.
Okay,
Unless there's
so
an unusually
tentatively,
long agenda.
let's ask that we put on the agenda for February 7th, a 10 a.m. meeting to discuss space in the county-owned facilities. Use of space in county-owned facilities. So I would make that a motion.
Second,
I have a motion in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
I'm going to continue on committee
Yep.
reports. So I'm on our work group with the state, and they had a Zoom meeting the other day. What was this trivia? The interim rule, final rule is 437 pages, because I was going to print it, and I'm like, oops, not going to do that. So it sounds like there were a lot of changes that related to revenue, but by what the auditors told us, is audit office so far has said that we don't meet the criteria for that. So I don't know, but it's still someday we're gonna have to sit down and really work on that. I think that was it. And then we had service agencies. So
I'll let you discuss that.
are you sure?
Yes, because I'm
Yes.
today.
We're continuing with service agency meetings. Budgeting's been a challenge. Again, it's not been done for 50 years. And so we're trying to do things all of a sudden in a year that haven't been done, and trying to sort out what all is going to be included in it is kind of a challenge. And we're also doing some discussions. One thing we do need to propose, and again, when can we do a work session so we can work on our homework, which is to write up the dispatch, and I'll draft that, because I gave some verbal information and they wanted it in writing, so I can easily draft that, but we need to have a work session to
So the
discuss
next
it.
service agency meeting has been set for February 4th at 8 a.m. at City Hall. So we would be able to work on this next week, the 24th through the 28th. I do have a doctor's appointment on the 26th. Sorry that I have to make these regular appointments, but
That's
my
okay.
health is of concern to me.
Uh-oh.
We also have availability on the week of January 31st through January 3rd.
I don't think we can wait that long. I think we need to check with Chauncey. I'm pretty flexible. So if you want to do it, I don't know if the 21st, that didn't work for you, did it?
No, it did not.
Why don't you check with Chauncey and see when he can do it beginning of next
We
week?
need his input
'Cause
because he needs to be in attendance at this meeting.
I am totally flexible.
Yeah,
The
I'm good.
24th and
24th,
5th.
25th.
I've got Peter on the 24th at noon, but other than that, I'm flexible those 2 days. So
I think
just set it.
Monday is tied up with court usually for the county attorney. Tuesday as well. Usually they have more time for meetings like this, the 27th and 28th. So maybe we'll talk to Chauncey
I'm gonna
about
text
what
him.
his court's
Yeah,
stuff is.
because I know some days he's in and out of court, so
Yeah.
he can meet in between.
As a sidebar, I know that Ian I think Ian's last day is the 27th, maybe the 28th. They're gonna have a little thing.
Oh, okay. I was unaware that his last day was coming up. I wasn't sure how long
I
the
heard it
internship
yesterday.
lasted.
Yeah,
He's gonna be a pretty heavy loss, I think, because Ian
Oh, yeah.
does a tremendous job, and I'm sorry to hear that his internship is up. Ian was paid for by another agency. We have not paid Ian as an employee of the county here. He was sent to us as an assistant to do a requirement to get his bar association license finalized for the state of Iowa.
he's done nothing but help this county.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah. He's gonna be-
yeah,
When's his last day?
I can't remember what Chauncey told me, but
Okay.
I think the 27th.
Anyway, that's all I've got. Oh, we
okay,
did our public health orientation.
So oh, yes, we did.
yeah,
And that was very interesting. I have ECI to report. I had a meeting last night, or late this afternoon. The highlight of that was finding out that 3 folks in Jefferson County did receive daycare funds.
Yeah, tell me about that. Is that what's been on the news lately?
Fairfield received over 500,000.
Good.
and that would go to the new child
That is
care
correct.
center in town.
Singing Cedars received over 400,000.
400,000?
Over
What
400,000.
are they gonna do? Are they gonna build? Because I understand it's the new spaces.
That I don't know.
Hmm.
And Pekin Schools received 41,000. I personally thought that would be quite a nice project because of where, Pekin's located, helps all the folks up there. with
Mhm.
daycare.
Yeah.
And anybody that works there probably has an issue with daycare.
Right,
How
So-
many spaces are they adding, did they say?
They're always full, I know that.
Yeah, in my mind, I want to say 40, but I'm not sure.
Great, great.
good.
Well, I know she wants to come talk to us.
Yeah,
so
I would love to listen to her because I think it's a very
Well, we can
worthwhile
get that one
project.
scheduled.
Yeah.
Well, and this may make a difference in some of those houses too.
Mhm.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
good job.
All right. Is that your only committee meeting other than our Board of Health orientation?
That applies to this county, yes.
Right, okay. All right, I was at the Russ Board meeting last week. I was supposed to have had a 8th Judicial District meeting on the 12th, but that meeting was postponed until February 9th. I believe the reason it was postponed is that the Chief Justice of the Iowa Supreme Court gave her report on the 12th to the legislators in Des Moines, and all of the 8th Judicial District needed to be attentive to that report. So at the Russ Board meeting, was fairly uneventful from our usual problems that we discuss, cities that are behind in payments to Russ for the services that they've received, who is delinquent, who is made current. We also discussed one consumer in Ollie that was given instructions to start paying their arrears amount and their current billing each month with their system being turned on. They have made those payments. They continue to make those payments. And that person was discussing with the department that they have another funding avenue available to make up some more of that difference that they have as illegal use and arrears. After the meeting was over with, I did have a discussion with Bruce Hudson concerning the inspections for nuisances here in the county. Bruce says that they believe that we now wish to continue with the project or with the ordinances we had in the past, and they feel comfortable in if we would like to do another agreement to have them on board for another year, since we have already moved forward on many things. We have shown that we want to continue with this program and continue to move forward with what we've been doing. And so I think I'll talk to Bruce more about what they want to see as a charge for this, because it's a contract in order for them to be able to do that, and provide the nuisance documentation. And
Yeah, I got them to come down 10,000 last year, and I think what they're doing now is probably fair.
yeah, there can be another look at what that is. What that,
I don't see it
what
going
that
up. I
expects.
think
Yeah,
it'll
so we can.
No,
we can
and
put
I
that
don't
on the-
either.
On the agenda and discuss that.
right, we can. So those were the two meetings that I had that I wanted to report on here, other than my Board of Health orientation day. So, all right, let's move on to, I do have one other committee report. The building committee of one. Dave, our superintendent, has been out for a little while here. I have contacted Jason Calhoun to come in and do a limited type cleaning of the building, mopping the floors on a daily basis, taking out garbage, cleaning the restrooms, those important types of items that we need to have done. I have also asked Jason to do the snow removal on the sidewalks around our building and also the county attorney's building, which Dave always did as well. He wants to charge $100 a time for any type of snow removal. He is submitting a bill for the last one that he did, and I believe that he was here last Sunday to do that. I have asked him to come back again later today or today during daylight hours at some point in time to redo the sidewalks once again, because there are areas that if he pushes them off now, the weather's going to help us get them back into better shape so people can have easier access in and out of the building, and he's already agreed to that. The wage per hour for Jason is going to be what he has been paid in the past for coming in and doing this substitute work for Dave at $15 an hour. And I've discussed that with Melissa. We initially thought it was another amount, which is lower. She went back, checked some records, found out it was $15 an hour. So I'm recommending that the board approve Jason Calhoun for $15 an hour for cleaning, mopping, taking out garbage, and cleaning restrooms here in the building on a daily basis until Dave returns, and then also paying him $100 each time that he needs to come out and remove snow.
Sounds good.
That's okay. So I guess I'm going to make that a motion so that we can get.
Can I
I don't
talk
know that-
about what I proposed to you?
I don't know that we need a motion just because it would already be in our budget.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I was gonna say. D, I had thought about, remember the young man that we had on a work
Oh, yeah.
experience here? I talked to Darren about that. Just kind of explaining what I used to do. And I did talk to someone that I used to work with, and if I can find somebody for a work experience, we can have them, but only for 540 hours.
Okay, I remember the
And
last time we did this several years ago, it's
Yes.
right when Dave started.
Correct. And let me finish here. The workman's comp is covered by Indian Hills. Everything is covered, but all we do is supervise.
Mhm.
It is a no-brainer as far as. I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm certainly open to it.
And then Jason, of course, could mentor.
So you would want to try to bring this person on now before Dave returns, or do we want to wait until Dave returns?
I
and then
think
bring
we
that
would have to
person
find the person first.
Right, which means that they may not be available for Jason to mentor.
Yeah, I just think
because-
as soon as the person is found, I wouldn't want to miss the opportunity.
Correct. I agree with that, but now the 500 odd hours,
540 hours.
that is
At
an
prevailing wage.
annual amount of time, or is that,
The 540 hours would probably be in this fiscal year, which would end June 30th.
okay,
But I think if you've got 540 hours, essentially free. No worry about workman's comp, no worry about, if somebody gets hurt on the job.
now you said something about the prevailing wage.
Prevailing
Are
wage
we
for
paying
that.
them that prevailing wage?
And we are not, the county's not paying. It is the program.
Mhm.
It is free work, free money, and in turn, we are mentoring a young adult, helping them experience the world of work.
Thank you for that explanation, because I know I would get questions from somebody, why are we going to pay somebody else? to
We
come
are
in
not
just to be
going to
a
pay
witness?
anybody. Only cost the county supervision.
And
There we
that's where
go.
my comment comes in, because I know last time we did this, Dave just commented, a lot of that would depend on the person. So
Yeah.
since he's not here, it would be nice to find someone who's very able to work with that close supervision.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. No other reports. We'll move on to public comments.
Public,
Oh, no. Wait, a minute, there's a time limit.
Governor Reynolds' address the other night, do you foresee any cuts coming down to the county or anything, or it's too early to know anything
too
about
early.
Yeah,
some of her proposals and stuff? I didn't know if you've seen anything that you might be concerned about or not.
no, I'd actually have to look over it a little bit further to find out, but normally when the governor sets her agenda for different changes in legislation, it ends up coming back to the local entity, local taxing authority, to be able to come up with that money in order to pay for the programs that the legislature then mandates down and doesn't want to fund, but makes them all feel good that they did something good for people across the state. And you understand how that works, Joe. So yeah, it would take a little bit more time to figure out what's going on. We also have to know what type of legislation that she's proposing in order to make those things happen. And again, we get unfunded mandates from the state all the time that you're going to do X, Y, and Z, but it's up to you to find the money to do it. We're just telling you, you have to do it. So, that's something that you always have to take up with your state senator or your state representative at the time that the discussion is going on.
I do that.
And I appreciate that you do that, Joe. I really do. Thank you. So, any further comments?
No.
Okay. All right. Any comments from anyone online that they would like to give to the supervisors today? We have Chris Estel and Tom Drish
Hi,
are
Chris.
online
Hi,
with us.
Tom.
Hey, you guys,
Yeah.
I just want to go back to the door thing. Just as an FYI, I'd have to look at the invoice. I can't remember. I think it was under $4,000. And it actually, the data information just goes to the main computer here at the office. I mean, it's a computer that one of us uses. And then you're able to log in and either activate a new token or deactivate a token. It's very simple to use. The website's very easy. The reason we went ahead and purchased it is because I knew 2.5 years ago, that we needed a locking door for safety reasons, because I was here with H1N1 and that was challenging enough. So I'm very thankful for security reasons that we went ahead and moved forward with that purchase. So I just wanted to clarify that for the good of the order.
Thank you very much. You kind of reinforced what I was saying.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
going on is it's easy to change out things with. a
Yeah,
system.
It's very user friendly, and the company that we use, I mean, I have the information, but they're very accessible. They'll walk you through any questions you have via phone. I think they've only been on site like 3 times, twice for the install, and then one time they came back to answer any questions or anything. So great company to work with. So
Thank you for
Yeah.
the comment, Chris.
thank
Appreciate
you. Thank you. And thanks you guys for attending the Board of Health orientation last week. I appreciate that.
Right. And I'm looking forward to the meeting this week. I'm fully intending on being a part of that. I will be out of town and I will be joining by Zoom. And I appreciate that the Board of Health has Zoom capabilities in order to have their meetings held that way. So,
Me too. And I think this is an IT update for us. You know, we were without a server last week for 3 days. That was problematic. I had to come back yesterday because I couldn't scan documents in from our scanner copier machine to our email. I think everything's fixed. So Darren, you should have all your Board of Health stuff coming right after lunch. I'm actually working on it while I'm listening to this meeting. So, but historically, just so you know, moving forward, historically, it's sent out that Thursday prior to the meeting, that Thursday or Friday. So if we keep the schedule the same, that's when it should arrive. So
it is a monthly meeting.
Every other month.
Every other month.
Every
Okay.
other month on the third Thursday. And I'll put that in the minutes of the next meeting. So you'll get that too. So,
Great. Thank you.
okay. Thank you guys.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's move on to allow claims and approve reports.
So
A second.
I have a motion from Sandquist, a second from Drish to approve allow the claims and approve reports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. So that brings us to the end of our agenda for today. I have nothing on nuisance properties to really discuss at this point in time. I do have I take that back. I do have one thing to discuss when it comes to nuisances. We had a request from Nathan Harriman to come and address the board about this most recent service that the county did for cleanup on his property once again. We want to set that for the 31st of this month. That's according to Pat McVan's schedule. Bruce Hudson would be available at any time that we would set that meeting for. So I would recommend that I get further with Mr. McVan and hammer in a time frame for the 31st for that particular hearing so that we can invite Mr. Harriman to it and discuss what he has to say about it.
it
And
shouldn't take very long. So
No,
we'll
it
do at
shouldn't.
10,
So-
10:30, probably 10.
again, I'll have to work with Pat to find out what
Schedule.
actual time that is. So I'll have to get his input before we can put it on there. And since the 31st isn't until, what is it, 2
Couple
weeks
weeks.
from now, we will
13
have
days.
time to be able to put it on our next agenda to be able to go out.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn, seconded by Drish. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone that has joined us today, and we appreciate hearing from all of you.